Hi everybody, I hope that you're all well. I'm back earlier than usual at the moment. I did hope to be sending you this review yesterday, but I had a busy weekend, and spent a load of time with my family yesterday and got a little bit sunburnt. So if I'm looking a bit more beetroot than usual, it's because of sunburn from yesterday, but oh well, I had a lovely time with my family. So because of my day yesterday, I wasn't able to finish my book I'm here to review until this morning. And so, yeah, I am filming this after work. I've just finished work on Monday. And I'll be uploading it right away. So, yeah, see how long my broadband copes with that. But anywho, we're not here to discuss my annoying broadband. We're here to talk about the book I've been reading this week, well, the past week, should I say, because we're in a new week today, it's Monday, which is Where The Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Now, I got this in my New Year sales, the bulk buy thing that I do each year, but I'm not doing it now because I'm trying to get through my to be read massive bookcase as much as possible, apart from a couple of books that I have already planned to buy in the year. So I got this because people have been raving about it, like really raving about it. And oh no, wait, did I get it in my... I can't remember exactly when I got this now. I'm debating with myself when I got it, but it was this year, as it were, because I did have a bit of a slip up with my not buying books. I did buy a few, and I can't remember which ones they were, but this one might have been in there. So let's say it's sometime between January and February, something like that, I got hold of this book. Anywho, carrying on with what I was saying. So I got it because, well, it was on offer with other things I want to buy, but also it was a big book that everyone was raving about. It was how spectacular it was, and da 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. I honestly got it not knowing what it was about. So fast forward to, I don't know, about a month ago, and the first trailer hit for the film adaptation, which is out, I think it's like the 15th or the 17th of July. I'm not sure which one, but it's one of those here in the UK. And Miss Taylor Swift, who I love, she's doing the song for it called Carolina. And I was like, oh my God, hearing her voice on the trailer was awesome. But I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, Where The Crawdads Sings is a like murder mystery? Really? Because I bought it not knowing what it was about. So I was like, oh, okay. I then thought, okay, that film looks pretty good. I'm going to have to read the book before I see the film, aren't I? So this is why I had this and the next book I'll be reading, because it was like, oh God, I've got to get to those books ASAP. I picked the 5 that I'm reading at the moment. So I picked this up knowing that loads of people raved about it. People I know who have read it have raved about it, and I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. But I literally went in, apart from knowing what the trailer showed, and obviously it's a trailer, so it's not going to go into detail, but that's all I knew about this book. Okay, so in case you don't know what Where The Crawdads Sings is about, it follows a woman called Kaya. So she, or Kaya, it depends on how you want to pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure in the trailer she's referred to as Kaya. And I've probably got that wrong. But I'll include a link to the trailer in the description. Anywho, she has grown up in North Carolina, in a marsh, basically. She, slowly but surely, her family have fall into the waistline from when she was around 7 to the point where she was completely on her own about 9 or 10. And she has lived on this marsh all by herself ever since then. And she's now 24. And she was born in 1945. It's 1969 when she's 24 years old. And in 1969, a local football hero called Chase is found dead in the marshland. But there's no, they'd expect like muddy footprints and stuff like this because obviously it's marshland. There are none. They expect to find fingerprints and such around because it's like a bottom of like a fire tower, you know, like a water tower thing, an abandoned one. There's nothing there. But all of the town are pointing the finger at the marsh girl, Kaya, because she's the unusual girl. Nobody likes her, nobody talks to her, nobody kind of interacts with her really, apart from a select few who really like her. And so, yeah, she is the one that the police are focusing on. But did she actually kill Chase? And if so, why? And it's the mystery of trying to find out what happened. Now, that's the overall synopsis. But the problem is, I was like, okay, murder mystery. I like crime. I like fictional crime and such. Let's go for it. Let's see if I can figure out what happened with this. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the plot of the murder mystery then becomes a footnote. I put this up on my Instagram, which I've only recently started earlier this year, guys, and I don't think I've actually put it in my about me section on my YouTube page. But yeah, I've literally kind of just posted books I've reviewed so far this year, if I've remembered to put them on Instagram, onto Instagram. So you're not missing anything. You're getting more detail here, let me put it that way, than my Instagram. And I also posted in the Facebook book group, and somebody actually I replied to not long ago said to me, well, the murder mystery is not the main plot. The main plot is about this girl and her life and how she was raised. And I would argue otherwise, because if you look at the blurb on the back, it says, for years, rumours of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl. You've mentioned the death, you've mentioned the fact that people believe that it's Kaya and everything in the second sentence. That is the first kind of sucker punch, as it were, or the first hook in order to get people in reading this book. So therefore, to me, the murder mystery is the key plot of this book. But unfortunately, the way that Delia wrote it means that it is not. You literally get like a page or two talking about the death, the investigation. Then you'll have 3 chapters about Kaya, which, you know, I think it's Kaya, I'm pretty sure now, thinking about it. Kaya's life. And then you'll get another couple of pages about the investigation, 1969. And then you're jumping back to Kaya when, I don't know, she's about 7. Then another, for a few chapters. Then another couple of pages. And then we're jumping back to when Kaya is like 9. And it's like, oh, for the love of God, I want to follow the police and then have the flashback. The key plot here, the thing that hooked me in, and like in the trailer, hooked me in, is the death of this man and finding out what happened. But Delia goes, no, I'm just going to tease you. And then it doesn't become, it literally is a footnote, because you only get like a page or so every few chapters. And then it becomes prominent over 200 pages into this book. It is, I think, page 206 until you meet Kaya in 1969. All the rest of the time, on the build up to that, she has been from baby up to 1969. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. It would have worked better, I think, if she'd flipped it round, if she had the murder mystery be the focus, and we have this girl who we're not sure about, and it makes us try and figure out and second guess her and what's going on, so that when you get the ending The conclusion, the last few pages, if you've read this book, you know what that is. I'm not going to say because obviously spoilers. That would have been such a bigger, like, wham than it currently is. And I think what the key issue here is the way that I think, me personally, I think Delia's gone, wow, the image of a man who's found dead in a swamp, that is such great imagery. I'll come back to that. I honestly do. I feel her descriptions of nature, of the marsh, of the animals, absolutely gorgeous. Not going to deny it, not going to try and badmouth that, because it is so atmospheric. She uses similes constantly. That's if I had to criticize, I would say you don't need to use simile after simile after simile. But what she's done, her writing, talking about the nature and the animals and everything, beautiful. Not going to fault her on that, but I will falter her on her characterization, her just very, in some cases, two-dimensional characters, very caricatures of, southern, the stereotypical southern small town individuals, that you see in other stories and other depictions in that area. I'm like, oh god, that's really uncomfortable. Like, for example, the policeman constantly, whenever you get these single pages, they're talking about, oh, did you get the new report? Okay, what does the report say? And so you get a little bit more information. But then they're always off to buy donuts and sandwiches at the local diner or go off to the local bar, and it's like, this is a police investigation, for God's sake, just can we have some procedure here? It was just like, that is just, no, I don't like that. I don't like things like that. It just, it irked me so much. There were the only character I actually cared about was a secondary character. I didn't even care about Kaya. I didn't care about her. I found her quite boring, because I had to slog through so many pages talking about her past. I didn't need that. I really didn't. And I really strongly believe that if she restructured this so that the focus was on the crime and then you were flashing back, in order so that the reader has to go almost like from a jury perspective, that we are on the jury and we are going, okay, this is what I know about this woman from the evidence. And then you find out this thing about her and you go, oh, okay, oh, I'm seeing things in another way. That would have been so much better. So much better. But yeah, there was only one character who I actually cared about, and they were a secondary character who only popped up now and again. There were also some things that I felt were completely unrealistic. And this is not me being like, I recognise that in a fictional book, anything is possible, okay? Totally get that. But sometimes you have to go, what? Here's an example. I have to give a little bit of spoiler here, but it's minimal. It's really minimal, believe me. So Kaya, because of her upbringing, and she has been on her own, completely on her own since she was 9 years old. She's only ever done one day of school in her life, so she doesn't know how to read or write. And she encounters a guy called Tate at 14, and she asks him to teach her to read, which he accepts. Lovely. Really liked that. Here's my issue. Over the course of a summer, he teaches her to read and write. Fine, yeah. Within that period of the summer holidays, and let's face it, summer holidays is in school summer holidays for his schooling, is what, like 6 weeks? So in those 6 weeks, she has become so accomplished at reading that she is able to read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier all by herself within that 6 week period. So within 6 weeks of being introduced to what the alphabet is, she's able to read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier all by herself. Now, I'm not putting down, a thing that she could be extremely smart, well done for, so happy for you. But at the same time, I'm thinking, this is a child who, in her life, in her early stages, came across some really big things that could seriously traumatize her. And especially because my sister is studying child development at the moment, so I asked her about it, and she said around the age of 10 there's a development that happens with children in their brains and such, which can really greatly affect their learning and going forward, and how they go into adulthood. And if there's an interruption that happens there, it can deeply affect them in their development going forward. And it can range. It doesn't necessarily mean, like, say, for example, that she would stop talking or something, but having the ability to understand what she's expected to do, like expected to laugh at a situation, expected to respond in a certain way to a situation, being able to know the cues of interacting with people in different social situations, etc. So it's not just a case of learning, school learning, it's life processes that can then get seriously interrupted. So if she has got to this point where she's 14 years old and she has gone through this traumatic childhood events that could be very traumatizing to her development, how is she able to then pick up and fully comprehend all the things that happen in Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier? Because let's face it, if you've read that book, you know there is some messed up shit in that book. There is some deep psychological stuff happening in that book, and she totally understands it. And that's the thing that gets me. Fair play, as I said, being able to read a book like that after only 6 weeks of learning to read, if she's, really tuned on and smart, totally okay, I'll believe that. But for her, I'm just thinking psychologically, her childhood development, I can't believe that. And so there were so many other things that kept on coming up, and I'm going, this is not believable. This is not realistic. This is getting silly. And so as the book went on, I figured out the ending, and it was just like, that's it? That is it? I just got more and more frustrated. And I was actually, when I went to my mum and dad's, I was sat reading this when we were waiting for the family to arrive to have a nice family get together. And my dad said to me, "You enjoying that?" I went, "No." And he went, "Well, why are you reading it then?" He said, "Because I want to find out what the hell happened to this man. He was more important to me, and finding out what happened to him, than Kaya herself was." I slogged through 200 odd pages to find out what happened to him, and it's because I thought at that point, this is where it's kicking off. I'm gonna find out now. And in reality, it wasn't until the very end, and I just went, what the fuck did I just sit through? Why? What? I had faith that I was going to possibly enjoy this book. I held on, guys. I got through the entire book. I could have given up. You know what I've been like with DNFs, which do not finish, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. That I've gone before, I've gotten through the first 100 pages. Do I want to carry on? Yes or no? And I carried on with this one. I slogged through as much as possible because I wanted to find out the truth of what happened. And when I got there, I was so disappointed. And it's just, things are nonsensical. The way that it's structured doesn't work. It honestly felt like Delia just threw it in, the death, and then just kind of left it. Every crime writer knows that, you know, from the very first instance, because I've heard this said by many crime authors before, you know from the very first instant who died, who did it, and why. And then you've got to cover every possible little thing that links them together and figuring out your path from the end backwards, you know. And Delia just didn't do that. So because of that, and the structuring, and the bad characterization, and the taking too long to cover the various background Kaya, you can tell it feels so first novel. It feels so badly done. I can't understand why this is so popular. I really, really can't. It drives me mad. And the only thing that I could think of that actually makes this so popular is her beautiful writing of nature and animals. That's it. That is it. I will, you know, as I've said previously in this video, I will give it up to her. She knows how to write that stuff. It was beautifully done, but the actual core of the plot, the core of the characters, the whole reason from the second line that people have been drawn into this book was so badly put together. It was an utter letdown, and I'm so frustrated by it. Oh, I needed that rant. I've been keeping that rant in all day. I literally finished this book and then I had to get ready for work and go to work. So yeah, I've had that held in all day. It just, yeah, it didn't ring true. It was completely lackluster and a downright frustrating, disappointing read. And so yeah, it just, it didn't work for me. There are loads of people who've replied to me on Facebook book group and that have said it's the best book I've ever read and such. And I, you know, each to their own. Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it isn't going to work for somebody else. You know, for something to be loved, someone's got to hate it. And in this case, I absolutely hated this book. I'm sure there are books that I've loved and you guys have told me that you've hated over time, you know, but it's, yeah, but it just, it left a foul taste in my mouth, and it's been there all day. Now, I mentioned that there is the film that's coming out in July. I'm still excited to see it because, having rewatched the trailer after finishing the book, I've come to realise that various things that pop up throughout the trailer follow are with the adult Kaya, are events which in the book range from when she's 14 to 24. So with the adult actress, so straight away they've switched some stuff around, because obviously the actress who's depicting Kaya, Daisy, oh gosh, her surname's fallen out my head. I will find it and put it in the description. She's in Normal People from BBC. I still haven't watched that. I need to watch that. What was I saying? Yeah, Daisy. She is depicted doing, you know, the various things which Kaya has beginning in her life from age 14. So clearly they've switched some things around to make it work better. If they have done that, I hope to God they have done that. I have a feeling that the film is going to be much better than the book, or at least for me. I'm really quite excited to see it, and the emphasis on the trailer is the murder and the police investigation. So I'm like, yay! That's what I wanted from this book. So again, I'm hoping that the film has done that, but we'll just have to see, because it could just be, you know, clever trailer editing in order to get people in, and then I find out that it's absolutely disappointing. I don't know, we'll just have to find out, won't we? But yeah, so I am excited for the film, very excited for Taylor's song Carolina for it, and yeah, it will just have to see what happens, but I'm sure I'll mention it in July when I go to see it. So, time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? God, no. No. This is, yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is, unless something truly diabolical falls into my lap during this year, this is going to be high on my worst books of the year. Would I recommend this to anyone? I wouldn't personally, but I would say that if somebody I knew really wanted to read it and they'd asked my opinion, I'd say, look, for the actual mystery part, you know, the structuring and that, it didn't work for me, but the descriptive narrative, you know, the similes and all that lot, her beautiful way of talking about nature and the marsh, the animals and such, is very strong. So she's got something, but for the overall story, it just doesn't quite work for me. But yeah, would I read any more of Delia's books? Now, this is a real tough one, guys, because I have said multiple times that I would give an author another go if they disappointed me. And Delia really disappointed me. I think it would take a lot to pull me into a second book of hers, but it would have to be one where I would feel confident in knowing that she has improved her writing. And the way I do that is from the Facebook book group, I'd have to say, because there has been real mixed reviews in posts and such I've had. And even I've put a post up earlier today saying, am I the only one who didn't like this book? And there are a load of people who say, I adored this book, it's my favourite book ever, but there are a hell of a lot of people who agree with me. So yeah, I think I keep an eye out for any posts relating to any other of Delia's works and maybe try one out there. Yeah, I'm right at this minute, I don't want to go anywhere near Delia Owens' other stuff, but I won't rule it out because that's the kind of reader that I am. I will give everyone another go. So those are my thoughts on Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, a book that has been lauded as so amazing, but I can't help but wonder why. It just didn't work for me, but yeah. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave a comment in the comments box below or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely to your decide. And I'll be back with my thoughts on my next read, which I'm really excited for, which is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So both my sister and our bestie Sarah, hi Laura if you're watching, have read this. They both loved it and they were desperate for me to read it. So now I can finally get onto it. So I'll be back with my thoughts of It Ends With Us as soon as I'm done. Alright guys, bye!